things together, bring a lot of different types of reasoning into a single space, and that ultimately will have some effects in terms of changing how you think about the world or how you put things together. They're really, really powerful tools, really powerful agents of change. And so I think that collectively, like having discussions like this about what does the future of games look like and thinking ahead, I think that's probably the most helpful thing that game designers can do in terms of thinking about how best to use their tools.
Great game design makes you forget about certain things you have normally in mind when you get in communication with people. So it's direct. I think that's a very important thing. And it can change you in a way that you start to realize how creative you can be, how powerful it can be to get in an interaction with someone else. So if you have a great gameplay, then you know about the target and the rules exactly. So you're getting into a flow. And I think getting into a flow is so different than what we experience today in business and everything. It's just, kind of like McGonagall writes, also a broken reality, and games can fix that in a way because you become more in a flow, you get connected to people, you realize your creative potential, and so it's a big amount you can learn in playing games.
We've developed a highly sophisticated cultural and theoretical framework for reward systems. So we've gotten to a very high degree of sophistication, understanding what gives people pleasure and how to activate those parts of the brain. And I think that's essentially what many games are very good at doing. So how we apply that technology of creating pleasure for people in the future is a good question. Because of course you can use that to do things that are very sinister, but you can also use it to do things which could actually be very good.
It's not only an exciting possibility, but it can be a reality that art, including games, can be overlapped but actually become reality.
I've often noticed that when I play a video game, I'm engaging with this dimension of space, this front space. And I'm kind of like, I kind of get this feeling that I'm kind of separating from my backspace and other systems of my body. Sometimes even my hearing, although hearing is really involved. This sense of backspace, even this dimension a little bit. But it's really this forward engagement that, like in that present moment of gaming, that really fascinates me, because I feel like that takes me away from my direct sensory experience. So it's this separation of the virtual and the real in a way. And that effect on the body, to me, it's really interesting, and I really wonder how far we can engage with gaming physically, with like Wii controllers or the Kinect, if we are engaging with the screen in this dimension here. So I would be really interested in experiments or games that maybe ask us to close our eyes sometimes, or ask us to lie down on the floor a little bit more. Now, like I haven't played a ton of video games, so I'm basing this on a few different experiences. But I think that when we're engaging with this virtual world and we're asked to engage with our sensations in a mediated way, I think my suspicion is that there's probably a lot more room to develop that mediation, the subtlety of it, and to engage besides the nervous system. We're engaging touch a lot, proprioception, but what about the fluid systems of our body, or our bones, or I don't know, even our breath.
When you start to play games, certain games, then you realize, oh, I have a body. Because I think very often it's when people sit in front of the screen and just use their mouse and their keys, and so they just forget their body. It just comes back when the back hurts, when they realize, oh God, I have to stretch myself, and then they realize, oh, I have a body. So in great game design, I think, can empower you to realize the knowledge inside of your body, can give you back your intuition, can tell you much more about what you already know about facts, about people, about the world and everything. So it gives you more trust, more confidence. It helps you to decide in a complex world even better than before. So I think it's kind of a helpful thing to realign your body with your mind.
Of course games affect human interaction because they're narratives, because they're training. I think think, but I don't think they have an effect. I think they can enhance, they can distract, they can lubricate, they can impede social interaction, that is. They can be social, they can be asocial, they can be antisocial, and perhaps they can be post-social, right? They can, of course, be all these things. They can, but there's nothing in the sort of notion of game or play itself that is one of those over the other.
If game designers can take a more interdisciplinary approach and understand that perhaps the most innovative spaces are mixed reality spaces or hybrid spaces where the gameplay is not just about the interface that's digital, but also the social interface, they'll gain a lot of ground. And you've already seen the successes that pioneers like Lance Weiler have had with transmedia storytelling that borders on gaming, and he comes from a gaming background, so that's quite obvious. But I think from my own perspective, I believe we're moving towards what I call object-oriented moving images. And I think that these moving images will eventually be holographic. And much of our compulsion to move in this direction, I think, is subconsciously motivated by our exposure to video games and our understanding that moving images can be manipulated on the object level as sprites, interdependent of each other, and that there are multiple timelines in one frame of a video game. And that frame is actually just a simulation. There is not really a frame. In fact, there's a render, a real-time render. So as graphics move towards real-time rendering in all aspects of moving image production, video game designers will have a basic knowledge that will be applicable. They'll have a basic knowledge that will be applicable in a much more cross-disciplinary way than it is now.
I would just like to see a broad spectrum, and the support for that